Hello everyone, Scott here. This is actually my first live via this software, so hopefully all working for you. Topic of today, I want to go over the negatives and the positives of serviced accommodation so that you guys can make an informed choice. If you're thinking about getting into the industry, into the strategy, then you'll see lots of positives about serviced accommodation, but you'll also see lots of negatives. And like all things, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. So I want to give you some information on the good and bad points of serviced accommodation. You can make an informed choice if this is a strategy you're thinking of getting into. Now, I'm going to start off with the positives. So one of the great things about serviced accommodation, and the main reason people get into it, is obviously the income. As a general rule, you'll get a lot more from being a serviced accommodation operator than a buy-to-let landlord. But the income in this strategy can be multiples more, and we've seen it so often. There's some people it doesn't work for, but as a very general rule, one of the main reasons people love service accommodation is it makes them more money. The next thing is tax. There's some really great tax incentives. So positive number 2 is all the tax structure around service accommodation. It definitely versus buy-to-let. With buy-to-let, as a high rate taxpayer with a mortgage, you're going to be subject to Section 24. You're not as a service accommodation operator. Also going to be able to claim capital allowances on your commercial property that you can't claim on a buy-to-let. So I'm not going to go into tax here, but some tax incentives that make it a really amazing strategy. Again, if you've one property, it's not going to make too much of a difference. But if you're building a portfolio of properties and making a business out of this, it's going to apply the multiplier effect, and you're going to have a lot more money and a lot less tax to pay, and who doesn't want that? So positive number 3 is that if you have a lovely holiday home that you rent out, you can stay in it yourself. You can also gift it to charity, friends and family. Nobody wants to stay in their ex-local authority buy-to-let and the chances of it being empty, you're going to have it rented all the time. But if you've got a lovely holiday home, you can do what I call as a mixture of investment and lifestyle. So if you have a holiday home and it's just an investment like a buy-to-let, then hello, Robin, thanks for jumping in. If you have a buy-to-let, I'm not going to stay there, but if you have a holiday home, you're going to pick it, the place that you like to go, and you can stay there, and you can gift it to friends and family. At Pillow, we do lots for charity, so any off-peak we give to charity, and we ask our owners to do that one week a year that we can give to charity, so you can actually have a great social impact with your service accommodation unit. You can't, because you're going to have a tenant in it with a buy-to-let. The next thing, number 4, is you can actually build a really solid business that has a value to it. If you've got a buy-to-let, your value of your business is the bricks and mortar of that property, and it can go up and down. But if you're building a commercial business, which is serviced accommodation, you can sell that for multiples more than the bricks and mortar sometimes, and you can refinance it. And it's not just buy-to-let mortgages. So some really exciting things you can do to refinance a big portfolio of successful holiday homes. And number 5 here is a positive, and a caveat here is that it's not going to be for everyone, but some people find it enjoyable. And that's a real positive, because if you love putting your heart and soul into it, you can do a bit of interior design, you love dealing with guests, you love being in the hospitality industry, then it's a massively rewarding thing to give people great experiences, to really promote your area. And some owners really, really love it. Likewise, the owners that use us as a management company don't want anything to do with it. They hate it. It's the opposite. But if you love really looking after people, I can think of some owners we have that really love giving an amazing customer, amazing guest experience, and they really go over the top to make sure everybody has an enjoyable stay, then that can be quite rewarding. So if you like it, it's a positive. If it isn't for you, that might flip into the negative category. But we've seen people really putting their heart and soul into it, designing it, making the customer experience amazing. So they're the positive things. I want to go on to the negative things. The first one, negative number 1, is this is a lot of work and it is time consuming. If you've got a buy-to-let, you put a tenant in and they could be in for 5 years. But it's a day, you need to work every single day on your serviced accommodation business, and never underestimate just how much work it is. Even with the best guests, there's multiple more work than what you would have as a buy-to-let. Number 2, as a negative, is fluctuating income. And again, we're talking about serviced accommodation holiday homes. Many a team in certain areas like Glasgow have corporate lets, and as I record this, they've got all the properties let out long term to corporate lets. So there isn't any fluctuating income, it's steady. But that's corporate lettings, executive lettings. If you have a holiday home in a holiday home area, your income will fluctuate. It'll fluctuate with seasons, maybe more expensive during the week, during the weekend to the week. And things like COVID could massively impact your income. So fluctuating income isn't for everyone, especially if you've got bills to pay and you need that minimum money to break even. Number 3 is there's a massively steep learning curve to this. You can be a buy-to-let landlord relatively easy, but learning serviced accommodation, just jumping in and saying, I want to do serviced accommodation or be an Airbnb landlord, the learning curve is so steep that you're going to hemorrhage money. Now, that means a lot of people do training courses to make that learning curve not as steep, or use a management company. And in those cases, you should make money quicker. But the mistakes we make at the beginning without any agent, without any partners, or without any training, means that it's quite a steep learning curve. So I wouldn't underestimate just how much things there are to learn with service accommodation. There's so many moving parts. It's a big, massive machine with lots of cogs, and those cogs can fall off pretty easily. So the learning curve for this can take years. In fact, me and my team are all still learning on a weekly basis, and that is our lives. Number 4 is a high setup cost. And I've put this in because a lot of people come to us and they're buy-to-let landlords have got a property and they want to use it for service accommodation, the Airbnb millionaires, but they don't realise there's some setup costs, and it frustrates them and it makes them angry, and they don't want to pay money for this in some instances. So it's really important to not underestimate just how much money you're going to need to put in. Why? Well, if someone's going to your holiday home for a few weeks, they're going to want everything there to feed their family, everything that they would have in their own home. So the costs definitely add up. Now, you can lease the furniture. In this video isn't about the setup, but there are going to be setup costs, and it could be £10,000 in some instances. Your property can't have scruffy paintwork that you can get away with and buy-to-let, a little stain in the carpet. A tenant would put up with that. You're going to need to have it all perfect for your initial photos, or guests will just leave you bad reviews. So the high setup cost can be a negative, and it can be off-putting, especially if you want to pay cash and you're wanting 10 units and it's going to be £10,000 for every unit to set up because you want it super high-end. Then unless you've got 100 grand in that example, then you can't scale your business up. You can finance the furniture, which is a nice thing to do to save your cash flow, but don't underestimate you're going to need to spend some money to get your units up and running. And if you don't spend that money initially and people try to scrimp and save and get a bit of furniture from their granny, people will see your photos, it will look shit, and they'll basically not book your property and you'll lose money. So spending money initially will get you money back multiples over. The next one is it can be stressful, massively stressful if you don't have the right mindset. And there's another video I've done of the 8 things to expect as a holiday homeowner. And these 8 things drive people to tears. And I've made the 8 things to expect as a holiday homeowner video because if you know this in advance, you jump into the strategy with open eyes and you don't cry about it and you don't get frustrated and you don't get angry that people have done this. So guests can come from all over the world with different expectations, different cultures, different ways they're going to treat your property. Lots of things happen, lots of moving parts, as I say. So it can be very, very stressful. Lots of things can go wrong. And that takes us to the kind of negative of number 6, is that you need the right mindset. Not in itself a negative, but I find 10% of people have the right mindset for service accommodation. Why? I'll sum it up in this phrase. We're in the hospitality business, not the property business. And not everybody would be a good waiter or a good customer service person or a good receptionist because people just don't have the customer service attitude. And we get lots of people from the property background and they treat their guests like they treat their tenants, and that doesn't happen. You need to be a kind of 5-star concierge. I think of a doorman opening doors for people going into a fancy restaurant or a hotel. You know, people at hotels, receptionists are running about getting things for you. You need that type of mindset because we're in hospitality, not property. And again, 10% of people have this mindset to take a call from a crazy person from overseas that's unhappy about a fish slice or the fact that there's only 6 bowls and it's a family of 7. I'm using real life examples, and to deal with that in a professional, friendly manner, focused on problem solving and giving good customer service is hard for 90% of people. And number 7, which is the main thing about serviced accommodation, is there's so many things out with your control. We can control the things that we do. We can get the property looking nice, we can set the prices, we can get good photos. But when we look at cleaners letting you down, when we look at neighbours interfering, we look at things like COVID, government things, things breaking, even with all that, when you run, it all runs perfect. Things can still go wrong. Guests can give you a bad review. A nice example is getting a 1-star review in one of our properties because a guest stood in dog dirt in Glasgow city centre and blamed us and said, there was dog dirt in the street and it wasted his nice shoes. He gave us a 1-star review, and that 1-star review would have lost us thousands of pounds in the future because people just might see the star rating and not read the review. And that person been totally unreasonable, and there's no one here that would agree with that person that was a 1-star review and that was justified. No one would agree with that, but there we have, we've got a 1-star review and that affects the future income of the property. So lots of things out with your control. You need to be quite strong-willed. You need to deal with that. If you get stressed easy, then service accommodation isn't for you. So there's some negatives. We started with some positives, and it's up to you guys to decide whether it's for you or whether this is going to be too stressful. But the positives being you're going to get a lot of more money and you can do other cool things with it. You can use it yourself, you can gift it to friends and family, to charity, lots of really nice things you can do. My business is service accommodation management. The team do it all over the UK, so I'm biased. But we also have a letting agency as well, vanilla buy-to-lets, and I think we've got about 500 properties we manage. So I see both sides. I see the positives to buy-to-let, and I see the positives of serviced accommodation. So I'm going to jump off. We're just at the 12-minute mark. Thank you for watching, guys. Please fire in any comments in the various platforms below, and I'll get back to you. Cheers.